Recently, Twitch has gotten into some controversy over the type of content they allow on their platform, causing them to bend the rules in order to allow certain content creators to keep making the type of content rather than hammering down on the TOS that they already had placed and sticking to that. This has caused further discussion in the regards of what kind of content should be allowed on platforms like Twitch. Hey everyone, my name is Christian Verstappen, and I have a lot to say about many things. I want to talk about the truth about Twitch thoughts. Shoe1Head recently did a video on this, and as I watched through it, I realized I had a lot to say, given all these tabs of examples that I have we're going to go over here. But to give the long and short of it, I basically agree. But like, comment, subscribe. No, for real though, let's get into this here. So we have the Twitch thought epidemic and its consequences.
Years ago, I made a video about how if you don't like seeing lewd things online, simply close your eyes and walk away. But what happens when you do close your eyes and walk away, but no matter where you walk away to, you bump right back into it, whether it's on Twitter, TikTok, or even Twitch. Dasani water. I'm gonna get canceled for this. All these years, and this is what's gonna get me canceled. I don't wanna hear it from any water snobs, okay? Where are my fellow Dasani heads at? But anyway, do you like the red hair? A lot of the Twitch thoughts that I'm gonna be talking about.
Dasani's fine. It's not, to me, water is water. Look, I drink water from my tap, so I definitely can't give anyone shit for their water choices, but it's all water. Water tastes like nothing. It's water.
Red hair. I felt like I was missing out. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are talking about the Twitch thought epidemic and its consequences, as well as OnlyFans culture and the de-civilization of... I promise this won't make sense. Maybe. Like all my videos are just kind of messy brain vomit. I mean, I guess that's one way you can be sure I'm not plagiarizing. When I start to sound smart and make sense, that's a red flag. I figured out how to use ChatGPT. So for those of you who are unaware, Twitch is a video game streaming website, or at least it used to be, where people often stream themselves playing video games and interact with their viewers. But recently, in the past few years, it has been invaded by women. Not only women, naked women. Now you might be asking, Shoo, what is wrong with that? And normally, you'd be correct. But Twitch is a website for kids, advertised for users 12 and up, and predominantly used by young boys. And the question on everyone's mind is, are these evil Jezebels preying on today's youth, or are they simply the product of capitalism? Clever, sneaky women taking advantage of people living under a brutal system in order to selfishly make money. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Before we get into this, let's quickly get into today's sponsor. When you're browsing the internet, you may think all your personal information is safe on there. Well, you're wrong. Unfortunately, it's become all too easy for hackers and data brokers to find all our personal information, including our full legal name, phone number,
sponsor
during this video. And as always, thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. Now let's get
Yeah, real good of us to not skip the ad, right?
back to the video. So about 2 weeks ago, this tweet showed up on my Twitter timeline. What's going on with Twitch? It showed a streamer wearing no shirt, swinging her fun bags around slightly off camera every time she got a donation. So for strictly research purposes, I went to Twitch to see if this was real, and surely enough it was. And it wasn't just one streamer, it was many, it was multiple. It was the entire homepage. And then when you went to click on one of the streams, it just took you there. No verification needed, no login required, nothing. And the whole internet pretty much agreed this was insane. Not everyone, we will get to that, but most people agreed this was crossing a line. Because of all the outrage, Twitch changed the rules. Not to fix the website, they changed the rules in order to save the Twitch thoughts. Twitch actually doubled down and made it so twerking, pole dancing, and artistic nudity was allowed.
Yeah, so I will say
rules in order to save the Twitch thoughts. Twitch actually
this right here, twerking, grinding, da. I get this if it's not like, as long as it's not like, you know, nude or whatever, and it's not like necessarily explicit, because there are actually people that like pole dance in a non-sexual way. Like it's just like an acrobatic thing you can do, and you know, more power to you. Artistic nudity, I get it, like especially if you're showing I don't know, like historic sculptures or paintings or something, I would think that should follow under the label of artistic nudity. Body painting, I can understand that to an acceptable with appropriate label. Not quite sure what that means, but let's continue.
Actually doubled down and made it so twerking, pole dancing, and artistic nudity was allowed. Artistic nudity. Right. So obviously, Twitch is run by Sims. We knew this. Anyway, artistic nudity. So like, can you glue googly eyes onto your... Can you do like a little meat spin on camera with googly eye, and that would be considered cool and fine because it's art, right, Twitch? Why am I still doing this? Then VTubers, animated YouTubers, took advantage of this new artistic nudity rule and started streaming their avatars butt-ass naked.
It's called hentai, and it's art.
Only for them to
True.
get banned, while the Twitch thoughts remained. Clearly, 2D girl discrimination. A few days later, Twitch
True.
finally banned the Twitch thoughts for a day.
If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Okay, time's up.
This has been going on for a very long time, from hot tub streams to ASMR ear licking.
Yeah, that's weird. That's just, I mean, like, look, you do you, but I'm sorry, that's like yeah, no.
Has just becoming a cesspool for this stuff, especially in the past 3 years, following a pattern I have been seeing online. A huge increase of OnlyFans models and everywhere. And it isn't just...
That is true. A lot of there are a lot of people who are actually um, excuse me, performers in the adult entertainment industry who are actually Twitch streamers as well. The only ones that come to my mind off the top of my head are Mia Malkova, Adriana Chechik, and of course, like she had her whole thing with TwitchCon, where she ended up like fucking up her back, unfortunately, and all that. And I think Sasha Grey does as well. What Sasha Grey does is actually we're gonna talk about her later as we'll get to that. And I think one of my favorites. I think Melody Marks does as well, but could be wrong on that. I know she does some kind of video game streaming. I'm pretty sure it's a Twitch, but could be wrong.
My observation. It's a fact. There are many studies that came out that show pornography and pornography addiction increased significantly during the pandemic, especially for young people, and hasn't decreased since. And the
I
amount
believe that.
of people making content on OnlyFans has skyrocketed. Being locked in our houses absolutely did something to our brains. You used to have to go out of your way to see this stuff, and now it's everywhere. Now compare this to how I talked about this issue a few years ago, where I would make fun of people for complaining about this is like walking into a strip club and being like, get your horny asses out of here. The difference is now everywhere is the strip club. It's to the point where even meme accounts on Twitter are being paid to discreetly advertise OnlyFans pages.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that this kind of thing, I don't think this should be as in your face as it is on the platform. What has happened to Twitter recently is just insane. I mean, you'll check on like a funny, like she said, like a funny meme account page, and you'll you'll click on it and you'll want to see, oh, what are people saying about this funny meme, this joke, this whatever, and it's people like this, it's bots, it's all the fucking blue check marks, because they thrive on engagement and stuff, and yeah.
Pages. And you can't even block the accounts that show up as
Yeah, this is an ad. You can see this right here. That's an ad.
ads on Twitter. Great website, Elon. 13 plus, by the way. And anyone who points this out is called a prude or a conservative. If you have an issue with naked women making softcore on a website full of children, you're the problem. How does the overall well-being of society affect you, bigot? Most of the internet seem to agree that the Twitch thing was wrong, but there were a lot of people mad at me and others for pointing out the obvious. So we're gonna respond to some of those critiques from people who disagree on this subject, and then we're gonna talk a little more deeply about all of this. Because I feel like it's a little deeper than the Twitch thoughts. The Twitch thoughts are just a symptom of a disease. Why doesn't Twitch just make a new 18 plus site? They do this on Twitch because the market is already saturated on actual cam sites. They won't stand out. They can find a larger, younger audience on Twitch. What I'm trying to say is, these should be banned. Okay, so my tweet was
One thing I do want to make specific mention of here is, to be fair, and we'll get, this might come into play later, technically, this person isn't actually showing nudity. I do think, and I know it's skirting very much like, it's very like, oh, well, I'm not technically breaking the rules, but I mean, a technicality does count. They aren't actually like doing anything, it's suggestive, if you will, but it's not actually nude. And I think that that's kind of where the difference is between people doing things like what she was versus the VTubers just having their avatars be naked. I think there's a clear distinction there, so I do want to be clear on that.
on actual cam sites. They won't stand out. They can find a larger, younger audience on Twitch. What I'm trying to say is, these should be banned. Okay, so my tweet was a little harsh, but am I wrong? Blaming these women for what Twitch allows and calling them accomplishes nothing except morally grandstanding that you think you're better than them. So first of all, I am better than them. So are you. So is everyone who doesn't make on Twitch. And second,
I don't agree with this. I don't like the idea that just be like, if you basically like, if you are a sex worker in any way, which I mean, to be fair, she's not saying in any way, and she'll actually kind of get into that a little bit later too. But if you do this kind of thing, then you're like worse than the average person. I don't agree that there's like, I think this is an amoral issue. It's not, it's not moral, it's not immoral, it's just a thing.
of all, I know calling them does nothing. I did it because it was funny. These are grown-ass women toying with the TOS. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know they're walking a fine line. That's why they're here on Twitch and on the hundreds of adult websites.
To be fair, I think that everybody walks a fine line when it comes to any rules. People are always trying to like see how far they can bend rules without breaking them, right? I mean, everybody does it like in all aspects of life, I feel like. Look at think about yourself or others driving on the road for a prime example. I mean, how many of you actually go the speed limit, right?
Sites that exist. If a parrot, they're so dangerous to you, maybe you should lock yourself in the cave. Cry more, little bro, and tell your fellow bros to stop thinking with their dicks.
Okay, hold up. If a pair of tits are so dangerous to you, maybe you should lock yourself in the cave, cry more, little bro, and tell your fellow bros to stop thinking with their dicks. Okay, tell them to stop thinking with their dicks. Bro, if you're making sexualized content that is being marketed or targeted, however you want to say that, toward men or even boys, as gross as that sounds, they are going to be thinking with their dicks. Like, I fully respect and everything and think that people who are sex workers should be, should be viewed as people and not be stigmatized and all that stuff. But at the same time, if I were to tell you I'm not thinking with my dick when like watching a porn video or something, I'd be lying. Like, of course that's what you're doing. What do you mean stop thinking with your dick? If you're making sexualized content, that's what people are going to be doing.
They're so dangerous to you, maybe you should lock yourself in the cave. Cry more, little bro, and tell your fellow bros to stop thinking with their dicks. Hello, fellow bros. Stop thinking with your dicks. Brace yourselves. The incels about to lose their minds and act like women are ruining Twitch. Lol.
Okay.
Hello, fellow bros.
Let's
Stop
see here.
thinking with your dicks. Brace yourself.
Yeah, so ruining Twitch, I disagree with that idea. There are people that do get up in arms about this kind of stuff. I don't think this is an issue where it's like, oh, women are the problem because they're here and they're hot and they're like being temptresses or whatever. I think it's more of a situation where there's a system in place that people can take advantage of. Obviously, people are going to take advantage of it. Right now, that happens to be women who are taking advantage of it. It's just the way it is. It's kind of like the whole gambling thing that happened last year, which we'll get to that later too in this video.
The incels about to lose their minds and act like women are ruining Twitch. Lol at the men in these comments admitting they're not attracted to women. I'm sorry you don't like hot women. Maybe work on the internalized misogyny. Nah, sorry. If you don't like huge oiled up milkers bouncing around on a Twitch stream, I'm just gonna assume you hate women. Do straight men even like women? Oh, you're not.
That, to be fair.
Nah, sorry. If you don't like huge oiled up milkers bouncing around on a Twitch stream, I'm just gonna assume you hate women. Do straight men even?
To be fair, I've asked this question many times before as well. Do straight men even like women? It's a fair question. I mean, I know I do, but a lot of guys talk like they don't actually like the women. I've talked about this before. It's a whole thing. It's crazy.
Like women? Oh, you're not sexualizing women? You're not just gooning to every woman you see? What, you hate women? What are you, gay? How did they manage to reverse engineer being sexist into not going awooga, awooga, honk, honk every time they see a woman? Incredible. Huge fan of these mammoth milkers, but I do worry about the dynamic and weirdness of women who are essentially sex workers interacting with and asking for donations from chat on a site largely used by young men. Feels like a race to the bottom. When Vosh and I, the people who talk about f***ing Pokemon, are saying things have gotten weird, I think that's proof that things have gotten weird. As a
common Vosh W.
worker, I agreed. I dislike the blurring of adult and all ages platforms like Twitch and TikTok, but I also don't know what men expected when it's so successful either.
Okay, basically,
Worker.
Yeah, I mean, I very much agree with this. Because it's like, the issue here is this right here, the blurring of the lines. There is nothing wrong with, again, like, I have nothing wrong with people being, being sex workers, making that kind of content, whatever they want to do, you do you. But I do agree that there is an issue with making that content for people on a platform that is not meant for that kind of content. There's a time and a place, right? Now, I don't think it would be right either to say that people who are performers shouldn't be able to make this, like, shouldn't be able to exist on a platform like, say, Twitch or YouTube. But I think a better way to go about it would be, let me find an example here. This is one of the things I thought of before, but forgot to actually pull up here. So, Trevor Wallace is a comedian, and he has worked with, Emily Willis, but he's worked with other people. He's also worked, the only ones I know off the top of my head he's worked with are Emily Willis and Mia Malkova. And when I say worked with, I don't mean he's made adult content with. I mean, he does little skits. We're not going to watch this whole skit because it's not really
stamp. It's an
necessary here.
NFT, Grandma. Okay, and
it's not a scam. It's an NFT. Like that little shot at those kind of people. But here's the thing, right? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. And here's you see one with Mia as well, Mia Malkova. So he makes content like this, and he has did he actually? Oh yeah, he did like one talk to her, and like she's here, but they're not doing. She's not doing anything sexual or anything like that. Like it's just a funny bit. Now, granted, the bit is about the fact that she's a porn star and he recognizes her from porn, but obviously this is a way of her like promoting herself, and I mean that's fine because sure she has her Instagram here, and I'm sure if you go to her Instagram, it'll have her OF and stuff. I think she has an OF. Like most adult performers have OFs at this point. By the way, that's a fun fact. Before OF really blew up in 2020, the reason it was called OnlyFans was because From my recollection, at least, I could be wrong on this, but I believe the reason it was called OnlyFans was because originally it was a platform that was only for fans of adult content creators to follow and request and see specific content of their favorite content creators, and also to like chat with them and different stuff like that. That's what it was meant to be. That's why it was called OnlyFans, because it was only for fans of people like Mia Malkova or Emily Willis. Now it's blown up into this entirely different thing, but you know, it is what it is. So I think that this is perfectly fine. YouTube is a website that is intended to be for, you know, ages 13 plus, whatever, just like Twitch. But with this, I want to get a not weird face. There we go. Yes, she is an adult content creator, and you know, she's a porn star, very successful and a very good one, and is on YouTube, but she's not doing anything like, you know, she's not doing anything in a sexual way. You know what I mean? She's in a skit. And I think that that kind of thing is fun. I think if you make content in that kind of way, I think that's a fine way for people to promote themselves. And if they want to go on Hassan used to date Janice Griffith, and she would be on his stream every now and then and stuff. And I imagine she probably would have promoted her stuff on his stream every now and then as well. And I don't think there's anything wrong with something like that, with having somebody who happens to be a sex worker also making content on a, I don't know if I want to say family friendly, but more of a broader age demographic platform. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do think the kind of content that you make is important. I would think it would be very different if these people, and look, if they want to wear like, you know, low cut shirts and like have their tits out and stuff, like that's fine too. If they want to stream doing that or whatever. But like, they're not going to be, you're not going to have like them like actually making that kind of content on Twitch. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I agreed. I dislike the blurring of adult and all ages platforms like Twitch and TikTok, but I also don't know what men expected when it's so successful either. I don't know, I guess men expected women not to get borderline naked on a website occupied with children, maybe? The bar is really not that high. There is a market for literally everything. That doesn't make literally everything excusable. If you give your kid unrestricted access to the internet, that's a you problem. Parents have to take some level of responsibility.
Okay, I agree with this to an extent. The take here, if you give your kids unrestricted access to the internet, that's a you problem. Parents have to take some level of responsibility over their child's online content consumption. 100% agree. 100% agree. However, there needs to be a place where you shouldn't, okay, yes, you should monitor like what website your kid is going to and like all these different things, right? And like make sure they're not, I don't know, being like groomed on Minecraft or something. But at the same time, you shouldn't have to worry about a website that markets itself as being for people that are your child's age. You shouldn't have to worry about them seeing content that they aren't ready to be seeing, basically. Now, in regards to that whole thing, by the way, of like, oh, you know, people under 18 shouldn't even be viewing that kind of content, I don't really know exactly where I stand on that, because I know that a lot of people start like way before that. I'm more of a late bloomer because I was more in like 15, 16 when I really even started developing interest in girls in the first place, and especially in regards to like, you know, porn and stuff like that. And I know to a lot of people, you know, they'd probably hear that and think like, oh, well, that's still too young or whatever. But a lot of people start a lot younger than that, so I don't really know what to tell you in that regard. But yeah.
Over their child's online content consumption. So I agree with this. Of course, I agree with this. Parents should absolutely be monitoring what their kids are looking at online. The issue is Twitch is advertised as a website for them. It is advertised for users 12 and up. So parents will naturally assume that the website doesn't feature like this. I think that's a pretty reasonable assumption to make. Like, I don't have to sit and watch Nick Jr. constantly with a 10-year-old just in case Peppa Pig decides to go Girls Gone Wild. It's safe to assume that is not
That would be funny though.
going to happen. So yes, you should be monitoring what your kids are doing online, but this isn't like a kid going onto an 18+ website. This is a kid going on a website that is advertised for them, that is made for them. So this is in big part the website's problem. A lot of people are saying that the solution to this would be making Twitch 18+, which I agree, it makes perfect sense to do. But the thing is, Twitch won't make it 18+, because that's what drives away advertisers. Lots of advertisers won't advertise on websites that are 18+. It's too risky, it's bad for their brand. And Amazon, the owner of Twitch, needs more money, of course. Same reason Twitter isn't being made 18+, because at the end of the day, the richest men in the world need more money. And apparently,
yeah, 100%. No. So this kind of gets into a little bit of a stigma and everything with the whole like, why are advertisers so like against advertising and this stuff? Well, one of the things is, I mean, you are missing out on a whole demographic if it is only 18 plus, but like, you know, there's this reputation and all these different things that these type of websites have, and I think a lot of this really does come down to a very like sex negative puritanical mindset that a lot of the world, especially America, has. And I think that a lot of that, I think that we definitely need to take steps toward normalizing this stuff and normalizing the concept of people, being sex workers and stuff like that. However, the answer is not to like let people do borderline NSFW content on platforms that are supposed to be for everybody. You know what I mean?
Twitch is going bankrupt. No wonder they want to keep the Twitch thoughts on the platform. Also, I didn't even know that Twitter was only 13 plus until embarrassingly recently. Elon, I beg of you, either make Twitter 18 plus or get rid of the porn. I personally think the former is the better idea because I'm tired of seeing unsolicited opinions of minors on the internet, and I just don't get tired
True.
of seeing images of strangers' butt pop up on my Twitter timeline while I'm scrolling in public. Always a joy.
Yeah, it is really weird how on Twitter, like, well, we kind of talked about it already, that how common it is to just see that type of content, even when you're not searching it out. It's odd.
But think of the children aside, Twitch is just not a website for this. There are thousands of other websites for this. There are so many. So why do these women have to do this on a website not for this? Well, it's simple. Because the websites that are made for this stuff are already oversaturated. The market...
Well, they're oversaturated, and they're also not really that popular. I mean, if we're going to talk about things like everyone knows the Hub, but even if we're going to talk about things like, X videos or X Hamster, I'm sure there's many more that I just can't think of off the top of my head. I know there's a lot more that I can't think of off the top of my head. I mean, a lot of the ones I'm thinking of are ones where like professional videos are like ripped from and stuff like that. But as far as like streamers and stuff, there are a ton of like webcam sites. I'm sure everybody that's familiar with this stuff has been inundated with ads of Jerkmate, and you all know about that shit. But and that's insane. Their marketing is extremely aggressive. I hate them. Anyway, but no, but like all these different things, right? I mean, yes, these platforms exist, but I mean, what she was saying here, like, I don't know if it's an oversaturation problem. I don't know if that's necessarily the issue, but it could be that people think it's an easy market to come here. But here's the thing, right? I don't have an issue with like hot people or whatever that are or want to be sex workers or whatever the case. I don't have an issue with them making content and building a fan base and then also saying, hey, I also do, I make adult content as well. I think if you want to do that, I think that's fine. And again, I think a great example of that is I think a great example of that is like this. Again, Emily Willis, even Mia Malkova over here, they're porn stars, or well, Mia Malkova doesn't make like studio stuff anymore. She doesn't work with like, Browsers and TeamSpeak and all that anymore, but she still makes like, I think she has like an OnlyFans and stuff, I'm not entirely sure. But my point is, like, you have people that make this kind of content, right? And here they are also making a regular video. I think if you want to do that kind of thing, or at least being in a regular video in their case, and I think if you want to do that kind of thing, and also have like in your links or whatever, something like that, you have advertising for your adult content as well, I think that's fine. But I don't think that it's good to market that originally to people, especially who could be, younger like that, like she was talking about here.
It's full, and basically these mids are not going to stand out on a dirty webcam site where there's thousands of other people doing exactly what they're doing. But when there's only a few dozen on Twitch doing it, they're more likely to stand out, get more followers, make more money, and attract an audience that wouldn't normally go on those other sites. Unfortunately, in this case, a much younger audience. I remember in like 2008 or so, I did a fan meetup, and most of the people that came were in their 20s, in college, in their 30s, but there were like a few 12, 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds with their parents, and I was just like, oh no, like it just didn't even occur to me that people that young would be watching my content or interested in my content. But just the fact that people that...
Yeah, I feel that. I actually have enough of a following now that I have analytics that actually tell me my age demographics and stuff, and I tend to have around like, generally it's what is it, like 20 like 25 to 35, whatever the second bracket is in the analytics, and the first one I have like a percentage of people that are like 13 to 18 or whatever that is, but most people, yeah, I do have a larger following, which is what I would expect. It's around my age, and it also suits the kind of topics that I talk about. So I get it. And then there are people who are in their like 40 to 55 or whatever that age range is. So yeah, but I know I'd be shocked too if I like saw a bunch of kids like, what the hell? What do you? Why?
age knew about me was so scary. So I just have to wonder, like, how are these people not feeling that way? Like, I didn't purposely go out of my way to attract that audience, but these people are going out of their way to attract that audience. If they weren't, they wouldn't be doing it on this website. They would be doing it on the websites this stuff is for. What makes it possibly even grosser is the fact that Twitch uses in-game money, meaning a kid could use their parents' money to buy Twitch bits or whatever, and then use those Twitch bits in order to get these women to interact with them and to shake their tits, and their parents would never know. Many people suspect that this is the reason Twitch made that change, but I don't know. It does line up with Twitch's MO. They will do anything to keep these women on their platform. They are their cash cow. They bring
It could be. I'm not really gonna speculate on whether that is or is not the case, but I can definitely see reason to believe that.
in the big bucks. After all, there's a market for this. Men takes two to tango. Most of these bitches would be broke if it wasn't for your coomer asses. Oh wow, sex workers working under capitalism? How crazy. Every man in this comment section has mommy issues and gets no actions. Y'all mad she's making more money with less effort. Finding
Okay, this doesn't make sense. Finding the sexual makes you a pervert. Dude, if you're like shaking your tits or your ass or something, or whatever it is, like, yes, that is sexual. Like, what are you talking about? This is like the thing where the other person was like, stop thinking with your dick. It's like, what? No, like, you don't get to say that. This is a sexual thing. You're just trying to have extreme plausible deniability here.
sexual makes you a pervert. Go to your dead mom. Smartest Twitter user. Sounds like you're just mad you can't manipulate a following in the same fashion. Granted, I don't condone it, but you're coming off as salty as a group of people found a loophole around the TOS and are abusing it. Frankly, these women should be praised for thinking outside the box and pandering to an audience that isn't oversaturated. You can't
Okay, to be fair, there is definitely an amount of people who are mad about this kind of thing because they didn't get to capitalize on the market first. There are a lot of people, a lot of men will get mad at this kind of thing too, where they'll be like, "Oh, women have it so easy. All you have to do is be hot and like, show your tits on camera or whatever, and you can make a ton of money." Like, a lot of guys do legitimately think that, and we'll get to that later too here. But yeah, I mean, there is definitely credence to the idea that jealousy definitely plays a factor.
exactly criticize them for being smart enough to know which outlet has a higher chance of yielding income. What do you mean? It takes 2 seconds to take off my shirt. Literally any woman in the world can do this, but most don't because making on a website mostly populated by minors is gross and insane. But to be honest, I thought you were a dude. Funny you shame the women when it's clearly women just taking advantage of the system we live under, capitalism. Yet you call yourself a socialist? A lot of issues do come down to capitalism, but as we do so often with other things, you can criticize people exploiting this system and exploiting the loopholes in the system. We don't just hand wave away politicians buying stock. We don't just hand wave away Jeff Bezos making his employees pee in bottles just because we live under capitalism and it is what it is. No. Yes, ultimately, I guess
But also,
it's a capital.
it's not it. Yes, but again, but I would argue, I would say it. This isn't necessarily just the issue of the people who can take advantage of this taking advantage of the system, but rather this is an issue of here are people, like, here's a system that Twitch designed, which is allowing people to take advantage of it in this way, so we need to change the system. Which in this case, the system, while the broader system, of course, that we all live under is capitalism, the system that would need change directly in this case would be Twitch's system. So I do think a systemic critique is fair, but I don't think just saying because capitalism is I don't think that's fair. I think it's more like Twitch has the things that we can take advantage of, and if this is going to change, Twitch would need to change that.
Issue. It's a TOS issue, but you never apply the standard to people marketing gambling or crypto scams on Twitch, which is funny because like a year ago there was like a bunch of gambling drama on Twitch, and one of the biggest critiques people had was there are children on this site. You're basically selling gambling to children. So how is this any different? It's amazing that just because they're women, suddenly they get a pass. And if you
No, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. There is always going to be, whenever it comes to things having to do with women, with things like this, there are always going to be people who are white knighting. There are going to be people who are calling any women or anybody in general who disagrees with them as, like, I don't know, misogynist or pick me or anything like that, because you can't critique a person without having negative views about the entire swath of that type of person, according to many people. This is why I also say we don't do identity politics, because that is where that kind of mindset leads you.
If you call it out, you are slut-shaming or a pick-me, of course. Oh look, Queen Pick-me is at it again, putting down other women. Shu is, I'm not like other girls personified. Okay, this insult normally doesn't work, but it especially doesn't work here because I am like other girls. Most women, in fact, do not make on Twitch. It's incredible how criticism of even like a single woman is seen as some personal betrayal, and the only reason you would do so is male attention. I never understood why I need to feel some sort of like loyalty to complete strangers just because we were born the same sex. I don't know you. I don't support all of you. Some of you are dumb. Like as if these kids don't have.
True.
access to porn at the tips of their fingertips. Trust me, if they want porn, they will get it. There aren't any toddlers on Twitch as far as I'm aware. It's 13 plus. Do Americans think children will be traumatized by seeing naked women? Do they not realize those same kids can and do simply go to porn sites to jerk off? Shu, I hate to tell you this, but the average kid is seeing way worse stuff online all the time. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Let's be real. This ain't nothing to kids nowadays. I grew up with the internet as a kid/teen and was able to find stuff back in 2002, where now it's literally so easy to find stuff and most teens have phones. I don't think they would be fazed by this content. Again, that is a bad thing. Maybe it shouldn't be that way. I hate this whole, well, that's just the way things are attitude. That's how you get people coming up with these head-ass ideas, like making for kids
What?
because kids will find porn anyway. There were so many
I'm sorry, what is this?
replies to me that were like, I was watching hardcore since I was 10 and I turned out fine. Your Twitter likes are public, sir. No, you didn't. Wait. There were so many replies to me that were like, get people coming up with these
Wait. Someone needs to... Okay, I'm not going to read this because I do not want this clipped or used in any way out of context, but I'm just going to leave this here for you guys to read this. Oh my god. No! What? Okay. Oh my god. The part about a website where they really show consent and everything, that would be great, but you do not market that is not for kids. Like that, no. I could completely disagree with that part.
head-ass ideas, like making for kids because kids will find porn anyway. There were so many replies to me that were like, I was watching hardcore since I was 10 and I turned out fine. Your Twitter likes are public, sir. No, you didn't. You don't see a problem with this because you are extremely desensitized, and honestly, so am I. I'm no swerf, I'm no sex worker, exclusionary radical feminist, because first of all, I'm not a feminist. It's like our culture
I knew she was gonna say that. I was wondering, like, is she gonna say if she's a swerf or not? Like, no, she can't because she's not. She doesn't consider herself a feminist.
has become so overly sexual that it's not even sexual anymore. Our culture is just becoming desensitized to sex, and that's not a good thing. I guess I just miss the days of tasteful thigh. Because of this oversaturation,
I will say little teases and stuff are definitely nice, but let's see
many
here.
desensitized to sex.
There's an argument for that. We'll just
That's not a good
continue
thing.
on
I guess I
here.
just miss the days of tasteful thigh. Because of this oversaturation, many in Gen Z are apparently craving
Okay, yeah, no, I hate this. Have you guys seen that dumbass meme of like? Let me see if I can find. This is it. Any show or movie, useless sex scene, makers, and they're just like pouring it all over. Completely disagree with this take, by the way. Movies have become so sexless, it is insane. Like, back in 1997, which the year I was born, funnily enough, Titanic was the highest grossing movie, and that has 2 sex scenes, including a nude scene, and has a very erotic and romantic chemistry between Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet's character as Jack and Rose. And yet, fast forward to now, where like the biggest movies are the Marvel movies, those characters are so fucking squeaky clean, which is very different to how they are in the comics, by the way. But like, none of them fuck anymore. None of them do like anything. None of them even like hardly swear or any. Like, it's so watered down bullshit. Like this meme, this whole like, oh, sex scenes are everywhere now. What the fuck are you talking about? Yes, there are shows like Euphoria and stuff like that, but which aren't like overloaded with sex scenes from what I've seen. They just have them a lot because, for one, it definitely fits like the tone and everything of the show, but also like that's the kind of show that it is. Like there have always been shows with like HBO Max, Cinemax, Playboy TV used to have like and that was softcore stuff. That wasn't even like this. This is just like Game of Thrones. Well, actually, no. Softcore is, I would say, is different from movie sex scenes. It's a whole different thing. But like the idea of sex scenes being in like movies and stuff has always been a thing. And look, I know where this kind of mentality comes from, and this is why I'm so passionate about this kind of stuff. Because like I grew up with a very prudish mother, love her to death, but she is a prude, 100%. There were so many movies and TV shows and such that I wasn't allowed to like watch or songs I wasn't allowed to listen to or whatever. Also partly because of my religious upbringing, but that was because on my dad's side, and my mother was like very like anti-sex, swearing, like all that different stuff. And like I know where like how that mentality is and like how that hurts people, because for me it very much put me in a mindset of thinking that like as I was growing up and developing more of an attraction to women and a desire for sex, and especially developing a higher libido, that there was like something wrong with me. And it's very easy to like have that like guilt and shame put on you, especially when you're also growing up religiously. So I mean, like this kind of mentality, I hate it because that's where this shit leads.
Craving normal relationships on the big screen. They're bored of seeing sex everywhere. To them, sex has been available one Google click away since they were like 4 years old. And it's having really negative.
But just to be clear, a lot of the movies, we're just gonna not pause on that. A lot of movies that have actually shown that have sex scenes in the movies. I'm thinking like God, what is that? Ghost, for example. That's a good movie. It's the one with where the woman's like making the pottery thing, and her like dead husband comes back, and she's clearly making it in the shape of his dick, and then they fuck. Things like that. Like there scenes like that in movies, or again, like I mentioned, Titanic. There's reason for that stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's like there are actual scenes that show that aspect of these characters' relationship. Now, can it be gratuitous? Sure. But generally speaking, these things are done to actually show an aspect of the relationship, so you're getting that like full breadth of everything going on with these characters. And it does serve the plot, despite what many of these people will say now. What did I do?
I just miss the days
Oh.
of tasteful thigh. Because of this oversaturation, many in Gen Z are apparently craving normal
Come on.
relationships on the big screen. They're bored of seeing sex everywhere. To them, sex has been available one Google click away since they were like 4 years old. And it's having really negative outcomes. Like the amount of grown-ass millennials calling Gen Zers prudes and puritans, is another word I saw. It's just really weird. Like,
They are.
I'm sorry, we're all addicted gooners. Maybe the younger generation is trying to tell us something. Someone called me a prude over this. Me. Just like with video games when I was a kid. Boys are mad because
I don't think that I don't think that Shu is being a prude on this. I can understand why people would get defensive and say that she is, but I think it's a more a more nuanced situation than that.
girls are playing in a space they've deemed theirs
Why are we
and are
doing
kicking
this?
their asses at it. So first of all, girls have already been in these spaces playing video games for years. There was no issue, so it's kind of weird to be like, sorry, we're kicking your asses, boys. Like, kicking their asses at what? Being naked on camera? Being naked on camera in front of minors? I just think it's interesting and ironic how, like, 10 years ago, these same people were fighting to keep sexualized women out of video games, and now they are fighting to keep sexualized women on Twitch, a website for video games. It has come full circle. If only Anita was here to see.
And again, okay, so actually, that brings up a very interesting point. But let's continue on, and I might make it in a minute.
Also, imagine flipping the genders in your stupid fake fanfiction. Imagine a grown-ass man coming into, like, a female space. I don't know what's a female space. The Stanley Cup fandom.
Book clubs. They're like book talk, for example.
Those cups. Imagine a man coming into the fandom of these cups, dangling his ding-dong around, and people are like, can you stop? That's really weird. And he's just like, oh, wow, you just hate men. Like,
Well, the reason that doesn't generally work is because the way you appeal to the female gaze is generally a lot different than the way you appeal to the male gaze. For one thing, women generally want more subtlety. Now, I would argue this is because they're generally taught that they can't overtly like sex or sexual things, so they have to have that plausible deniability and things like that. But in general, whatever the reason, generally you want to do more subtle things to elicit that kind of attention as a man from a woman.
you, go away. These women aren't stealing anything from the men. If anything, they're stealing from the women. Because the more Twitch becomes a website for this, the more this shit rises to the top. And the more normal streamers, especially women, who don't do this, sink to the bottom.
Okay, so let me give an example real quick of why this is an issue for something like Twitch, which I think we've been seeing that. But as far as the blurring the lines thing, and I'll show an example of how you can do this kind of thing in a way that I think is perfectly fine. So like, because I know people will kind of look at this and they'll be like, oh well, isn't this a double standard where you're perfectly fine, in my case, I'm perfectly fine with like sexualization of women and people in general in media. However, this kind of thing is not okay. Well, again, it's the way you go about it and it's how much you're showing. So I don't think that nudity in anything that is like marketed toward kids is okay, even if it's like 13 plus. However, I'm going to give an example of something where there is a lot of sexualization and kind of titillating shots of one of the main characters. However, the show is rated TV-14. This is an anime series called Gurren Lagann, and in it, it has my favorite character of the show, Yoko, who we stan, and fitting enough with the little redhead thing we got going on here, Yoko is a redhead. We're not going to play the audio of this, but I'm going to give an example here of how sexualization is done in something that is for teens and up in a way that is appropriate versus what we've been seeing on Twitch here. This is the opening to the first opening to the show. Right here. So first of all, this is Yoko, and you see like she's just wearing like a bra. I guess it's kind of more like a bikini top and very short shorts. Yamako here, is it Yamako? Is that his name? No, Kamiko. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. But I'm actually going through the series right now, but I don't remember his name. This guy's name is Simone. He's a kid right now, but there's a time skip later where he grows up. Anyway, that's not important. I'm just pointing it out here so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, right there. Anyway, I think it's Kamino. Yeah, it's Kamino. Yeah, that's his name. Yeah, Kamino. Anyway, I do want to point out, by the way, dude's a pretty good-looking dude with his shirt off, by the way. Anyway, everyone's yawning here, so like we're just going to continue on here. But I want to call attention to how this character, especially Yoko, is portrayed. How, like, yes, this is obviously something that is sexualized and titillating for people. And this is, by the way, the kind of like sexualization that I'm perfectly fine with and supportive of in regards to something that is that isn't for adults specifically. So we have like this shot with Yoko here, and you can see like the way that they depict her, right? She's literally introduced and we even have like the Black siblings here. These are called the Black siblings, where we have all these characters. This one is my favorite of the Black siblings. You can figure out why. But like you have it right here, where like no one's anything overt, but they are sexualized in a way. They are wearing like, you know, very a pretty small amount of clothing, and the camera kind of like goes on them in certain ways. When Kamiko is introduced, and I wanted to see if I could find it. Are we going to get any more shots? No, we're not. Okay. Let me see if I can. I said Kamiko. I meant Yoko. Let me see if I can find her introduction. I guess this will work. I mean, maybe this will show what I'm talking about. She becomes a teacher later in the show too, and she's also really good at that. But okay, this isn't in the show at all, and not that I know of, at least, unless it's in one of the last episodes. Really, that wasn't even legit. That was just okay. That wasn't even what I was looking for. Comica, no. Anyway, when Yoko was first introduced, they literally pan up to her body, and I can't show like any of this, but they like the camera like goes like over her body, and Kamiko is looking at her, and he's like, "Wow, you're a total babe. Like the girls on the surface must be better than the girls down because they're like underground and stuff." It's a whole thing. Check out the anime if you're interested. So it's a good show. But like, I think that's fine because. And there's even an episode where like they're in a bathhouse and stuff, and this is common in a lot of anime stuff, especially. But like they don't actually show any of the nudity. They imply it, and they show like certain things, but like they don't actually show anything that's actually inappropriate for kids or for people under 18, which would be yes, kids. But at the same time, and while I think that what the people are doing on Twitch there is not necessary, is kind of on that same level a little bit. I do think that it is blurring the lines a little bit too much, and more so than something like this does.
was a female, wait, I am a female. If I was a female gamer grinding my ass off in this male-dominated space the same way a lot of men do, and seeing what female content rises to the top of this website, I would be pretty demoralized. Look anywhere, not just Twitch. Sex work starts to appear like the only successful avenue a woman can go down. In 2014, there was
That's true, and that is definitely something worthy of critique.
a lot of talk about harassment towards women online. And my answer would always be like, just trolls, just block them, just ignore them. They're trying to get a rise out of you, which is still true. But a lot of these people aren't trolls anymore. They're your followers, your friends, your allies. You see, sexual harassment has evolved. 15 years ago, it was anonymous trolls entering your chat like, show me your tits. Now it's Jeff, he, him, politely asking if you're interested in joining OnlyFans. You know, show me your tits. For money. What is stopping me from taking off my shirt and making a
No, I do agree with the idea, right, that essentially any woman who's hot, like, oh, when are you going to make an OnlyFans? When are you make? It's like, come on, dude. Just because they're a content creator online doesn't mean they have to have an OnlyFans. Like, I do think that that's gross and disgusting. And if they want to make an OnlyFans, they're welcome to it. But at the same time, they don't. I don't think they should be like, you know, pushed into doing it or anything like that. And it is true that there are going to be people who look at people who are successful content creators who are making adult content, and they'll look at that and maybe they're struggling like on Twitch or something, and they think, oh well, maybe if I just do this, then I'll be able to gain more of a following. But the question is, do they really want to? You know what I mean? So I think yeah, that's a fair critique, and I'm glad she brought it up.
ton of money. Besides, you know, a father figure. Pretty much nothing. Any woman can do this, which is
I don't like that little dig though of oh, what are they missing besides the father figure? I don't like that though.
why so many women do this. The pressure is insane for young women nowadays, and I honestly feel bad for them. I do. I feel bad for women. What is this? What is this strange feeling? But from their point of view, from what they've been told, society is going to sexualize them anyway. You're a woman online and you don't sexualize yourself? That's okay. We got AI for that. Also, while I'm editing this, I just noticed that was an ad. That's an ad on Twitter. It says ad in the corner. Dystopian.
Yeah, that's not okay either.
Why not simply take the power back and make money off the inevitable? It's getting weird out there. Men and women are being pushed and pulled in so many different directions. Women are being sold this idea that they should be independent girl bosses who don't need no man. And if they want to make the choice to be sex workers, that's their choice.
And men are being taught to make do NFT scams and drop shipping and all that stuff. It's great out here.
consider myself socially libertarian, so I'm all for personal choice. But how much of this really is personal choice?
But I do want to be clear on that, and we're about to we'll get into something else here in a minute here, as you can see. But I do want to be clear as well that none of this takes away from like the idea that sex work is still I'm completely supportive and fine with people doing it. It's just that there's a time and a place, and I don't think that, so far from what we've discussed, that Twitch or YouTube or any platform that is meant to be for people, not necessarily of all ages, but at least not a specifically adult platform, I don't think that content should be there. Simple as that, really. Oh, damn it, I did it again.
Sold this idea that they should be independent girl bosses who don't need no man. And if they want to make the choice to be sex workers, that's their choice. And I consider myself socially libertarian, so I'm all for personal choice. But how much of this really is personal choice?
I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat.
When are things gonna go back to where you can work and support your family without f***ing stressing out? I can't do this anymore!
I just got a good job. I
Late stage capitalism, people.
started in September, but even with that job, I still can't do shit. I can't buy anything. I can't afford the rent these days. Like, I'm just feeling so much despair. And I know I'm normally like really positive, but I'm just like, how is everyone else? And are you okay? Because the answer's probably no.
We're gonna start an OnlyFans in 40 hours. I'm 20 minutes.
40 hours, I made a little over $1 million.
$47 million to show tits and ass. Why wasn't I born a girl? Their lives are on rookie. I wish I was a girl to make easy money like that. Women have it so easy. It's not even funny. There's a
Yeah, so this is kind of what I was talking about, where like a lot of guys see this stuff and they're like, oh, it's just so easy. Just be a hot girl and you can just like take off your clothes for money or whatever.
lie perpetuated by people on the internet that OnlyFans is this get-rich-quick scheme. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The average woman on OnlyFans only makes $180 a month, and that's average. Most are making way less than that. But this get-rich-quick lie is not being sold by only random people on the internet. It's also being sold by OnlyFans itself. Kiss that 99-cent ramen goodbye and say hello to endless opportunities on OnlyFans.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this marketing strategy of being like, oh yeah, anybody can do really well with this kind of. No, I don't like that.
This is just the 2023 version of, hey lady, I see you're having financial problems. Say, can you dance? I have a couple of friends who are pretty famous OnlyFans models, and they disclosed to me that allegedly people who work for OnlyFans have approached them, telling them to post about how much money they made or show off expensive things they bought with money they made by being an OnlyFans model in order to recruit more women to be OnlyFans models. This includes showing off handbags, expensive clothes, makeup, cars, and even houses. Like, I just bought my first house thanks to OnlyFans. It's disgusting.
It is very true that a lot of there is a lot of recruiting in the sex work industry. I know even people who are like famous professional performers, famous porn stars, like Gianna Dior. That's how she got into the industry. She was on Tinder, and a girl actually who I don't remember exactly how the story went, but she invited her, and I think Athena Ferris got on that way as well. But yeah, I mean, there is definitely. But I will say, in regards to that, a lot of these issues, in regards especially to like the recruiting and all these other different things, these are really just kind of similar issues to all type of work. And we'll get into that more later, but I mean, like, there are headhunters, for example, who will go to other people in other companies and basically offer them a job somewhere else. Why is that seen as any different than someone being recruited, if you will, to do sex work? I think it really does come down to just the negative view that so many people have on sex in general. So therefore, well, because it's sex for money, that makes it bad. And I think that that's absolutely insane, because when you really look at it, what is actually so different from this? And we'll get into that here.
Disgusting to do this in general, but especially disgusting to do this during a housing crisis. It's just evil. It's incredibly rare you can make a living doing this, just like YouTube. And I cannot imagine if YouTube sold itself like, tired of being poor, become a YouTuber. Like, what? Now, why would they do this? Why would OnlyFans manipulate and entice poor, desperate people like this? Oh, that's why.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. Look, I think when you look at these kind of things, you have to look at it and say, why is it seen as so different for somebody to like make money off of selling their body through sex work versus construction work or running around at a fast food or what are those things called? Convenience store, not convenience store, like a shopping store, whatever. Like any of those kind of things, or any of those things. Why is it okay? Like, why is it seen as more socially acceptable to break your back doing construction work, but not get your back blown out doing sex work? I think, again, it really does come down to this prudish mentality that so many of us, again, especially in America, do have regarding the concept of, well, really sex in general, but especially sex work and how that interplays with everything and all that. It is true that a lot of people will also get into the industry for things like paying off debt and all these other different things. But how many other jobs do people take on that they don't actually want to take on because they have to in order to make money? Like, you can always say, oh, well, it's coercion because you're only doing it to make money. Yeah, well, everything under capitalism is coercion. That's how it works. Apologies for my camera constantly lagging here. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. I don't want to work the job I'm working. I mean, it beats digging ditches or something. And don't get me wrong, people do absolutely look negatively on fast food workers and all those other different things that I mentioned before. And it's shitty that people look down on those people as well. Like, oh, that's not a real career or whatever. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a real career to be a sex worker. Maybe it is. But like, whatever the case, that double standard is really there, I think, because of the prudish mentality that so many people have. Now, I want to be clear on this as well. It isn't okay either to look at somebody who has done sex work or is doing sex work or anything like that and refuse to see them as a human being, essentially, because of that. Mia Khalifa talked about this, where she used to do porn, and I believe she actually does like her own stuff now. She just doesn't work with any like big, kind of like Mia Malkova I mentioned earlier. She just doesn't work with any like big studios anymore. But she told this story. Let me see if I can find the video here, actually. This kind of thing is not okay.
And I get come up to by this guy and his girlfriend, and we were interrupted in the middle of talking and eating, and he said, "Hey, Mia Khalifa, can I get a picture with you?" And I looked up at him and I'm like, "No, we're eating." And I said it just like that. Like, it was a rude way, but it was also very rude for him to come up while someone was actively in the middle of a conversation. And after I said that, his girlfriend, who was standing next to him, grabbed him by the arm and said, "I told you that wasn't her. There's not enough on her face. Let's go, babe."
Yeah, that's not okay. That, by the way, that kind of thing is a great example of what objectification really looks like, and doing that kind of thing. And funnily enough, it was the girlfriend that did it, not even the dude. But like I mean, that's just really fucked up. Like, there's no reason. I get it. You know, you've seen her perform on, like, I don't know, Bang Bros or whatever. Like, I think that's where she got her start. But like, cool, that's great. She's also a human being outside of all that, and now isn't doing that kind of thing. And I actually want to put up another example of somebody who made a really graceful transition out of the industry. Sasha Grey. We'll start with this one.
I don't care. Yeah, I did porn. So fucking what? I did it for 3 years. I retired at 21, just like Henry Rollins said. But guess what? I didn't really retire. I went on to DJ internationally. I acted in a few other movies and TV shows. I've written 3 books. I've published a book of photography. I'm also doing more voice acting. And yeah, I've been streaming on Twitch for over 3.5 years. Gonna be 4 in March. If that bothers you, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah. So she does streaming now, and she talked about like why she left the industry as well. We'll check that out real quick here too, right? But I mean, like, she does streaming. I don't know. I think she plays games, but she was like, from what I understand, I haven't seen much of her content from back then. But she was like really popular and really big in the industry, and she had a very graceful transition out, and is now doing other things. And good for her. Good for any, like, that's, I think she's a great example of how it should be for sex workers. Unfortunately, she does deal with the discrimination and the stigmatization and stuff people will still throw at her, which we'll actually get into how she kind of handles jokes about her past in a minute here.
I believe.
Let's say like after the first year, it's sort of the honeymoon phase is over. It's still exciting, but you just know too much. So it's sort of like your own fantasy has been killed. So you see the backside of stuff, like the guy trying to keep it up. You know, unfortunately, cliches exist for a reason. The girl who's 3 hours late and can't keep her eyes open because she's on something. You start to question sort of what's happening around you. But I think the most disappointing thing was seeing other people not care about what they were doing. Because when I decide to go after something, I'm very passionate and dedicated. If I want to do something, I want to do it fully and put everything into it.
So like, how did you?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think even that mentality that she has as well of like, you know, she doesn't have this like horrible experience. She's like, I left because everyone treated me horribly, and I like, no, she's just like, I did it. I got what I wanted out of it. I realized, hey, this is fun, but it's not, the glamour is kind of gone. Which, I mean, you get that with literally anything that you do. I'll tell you, you kind of lose some of that glamour a little bit doing, even making, like this kind of content. Or you lose that kind of glamour when you're behind the scenes and actually a part of the process of making anything, be it mainstream movies or TV shows or video games or music. I remember looking at artists playing guitar and thinking, oh, it looks like so complicated, like everything they're playing and stuff. And then when I started learning how to play guitar better, I realized I started still watching them and like looking at their technique and stuff and realizing like, oh, that's kind of like how I play. Or like, oh, I know those chords. I know what they're doing. I know what they're playing. So I mean, like, you do that, you kind of just like, you demystify like any of it. And I think to an extent, the not the desensitization, but the demystification of sex and relationships, of thinking that they're like this magical, like, thing. I think that that's good. I do think that there's definitely, there's a space to be had where, or a conversation to be had where like proper sex education needs to definitely take place, and porn should not like take the place of that. However, I don't think that the concept of being able to understand sex as a more casual thing that, like, you know, it's a fun thing that adults do, that, you know, that consenting adults do. And yeah, it could create a baby, it could do that. And on that note, by the way, anyone that wants to look at it and be like, oh, well, what about STDs? What about an unwanted pregnancy? Yeah, those things are awful. And unfortunately, they do happen. But there are ways to prevent it. Just like if you're doing construction work, you wear a hard hat, you do all the things, you like, in any type of profession, like, you could say, okay, well, what if you're working in a restaurant and you, like, spill hot grease all over yourself and ruin your body that way? What if you get really sick in just some other way? What if you're doing some kind of construction work, or you're working in a factory and, oh, you chopped off your limb? Like, any of these different things. All of these things can happen, but nobody looks to those things and says, oh, well, what about this? We shouldn't have that industry at all. People shouldn't do that job at all because these bad things can happen. However, they do that when it comes to sex work, because they're not really concerned about people getting hurt or taken advantage of or any of those things in regards to sex work. They just want to use it as a way to attack sex work and the concept of sex in general, because again, we have a very prudish mentality ingrained into us, especially here in America. But Sasha, I think, is an incredible example of how to do this kind of stuff, like this.
Hi, I'm Quite Noon. I've been enjoying your streams. Is it okay to sometimes joke or make comments about what you did? I don't want to be rude.
I love that, by the way. I love that this person actually asks, like, hey, is it cool if I, like, make these jokes, make these comments? And listen to her response here.
This is the thing. Like, I sometimes get the hit with the profanity filter. Like, we believe in you know, giving people second chances here. So unless something is, like, really ridiculously ridiculous and terrible, you won't get an automatic ban. I encourage good humor and good jokes. The problem is most people aren't good at it. You see the same 100 remarks in a stream every day, and those aren't jokes. If you feel the joke is too deep, pull out. There you go.
Yeah, that's great. This would be, by the way, I would say an example of not a great joke, but you'll see.
Can you... I'm gonna read that. Can you poop normally, or does it plop out? What?
Now, I think this is a gross question, and I think she probably even knew what they were getting at. And I don't know if this was, like, before or after she said that, yeah, you can make these kind of jokes, or she was cool with it or what have you. But to me, like, these are the kind of comments that you just don't make about someone. Like, okay, we'll use okay, Adriana Chechik now is primarily streaming on Twitch, I believe. I think that's what she does now. I don't actually know, but we'll just say, like, say that's what she's doing, right? I think if you were to ask her questions like this, and especially if she didn't, like, give that green light of, like, yeah, like, you can make jokes or whatever, that would be just absolutely disgusting. Like, I'm not saying her or anybody else has to be ashamed of their past for this, but it's like, again, just because someone, like, worked at McDonald's doesn't mean they want to talk about how, you know, they used to, like, I don't know, what was it like making burgers or whatever, like, all the time, you know? Like, if you give that green light and you're like, oh yeah, like, we can talk about that. But, you know, I think this is a... Yeah, this is... Yeah, yeah.
What does that mean? Does it plop out? Normal.
Yeah, I don't know if she actually didn't know what that meant, but yeah. We'll get to that in a moment there. I just gave a spoiler, but you'll see how that's relevant in a moment here. I don't really need these anymore.
Of course it is. That's always why. In a way, we are all selling our bodies to labor. We are all whether you work at a fast food place, you're a lawyer, or a YouTuber, we're all for capital. At the end of the day, it's a job. These Twitch girls, these OnlyFans girls, they're getting their bag. Like me, like you, like everyone else. And I guarantee you, a lot of the men who about OnlyFans models would do it instantly if they could. You would all be
100,000%, yeah.
And why wouldn't you? Go to college and go 100K in debt for a useless degree that won't get you a job? Or this? Why wouldn't you? Break your back in spirit working a 9-to-5 that you absolutely hate and get no satisfaction from? Or this? Why wouldn't you? And that, for the modern woman, is probably the most black-pilling question right now. Why wouldn't you? Get exploited or exploit yourself? So is it really the Twitch Thought's fault? Taking advantage of a market to make it in an overwhelmingly...
Well, it's not even... Okay, I would disagree that it's get exploited or exploit yourself. It's kind of like... How do you want to be exploited? Because, like, let's be honest here. if you're like working, even if you're just doing something like, you know, you're picking up extra work for your boss that you're not getting paid for, you're not getting compensated for, all these different things, you're being exploited. Your time's being exploited, your energy's being exploited. Why are we so okay with that exploitation? But when it comes to sex work, it's not okay. Now, I would argue that while all of this work should be okay, that exploitative element shouldn't be there. And I don't think either that we wouldn't see people doing any of these jobs, including sex work, if that exploitative element of capitalism wasn't there. I think people would still be doing it. It's just that we'd only have people who actually enjoy doing these jobs doing these jobs. I do think that would be the case.
Male-dominated field. Is it really her fault for trying to survive in this unforgiving world, in a society that will abuse, exploit, and degrade her anyway? Is it really her fault? Yes! Yes!
No.
It is! Get off Twitch! It isn't for porn! The end! So that was that video. I've been wanting to talk about this subject.
Jesus. No, yeah, the rest of the video is just an outro from her. No, I disagree with that. In regards to that oversaturation part, I mean, here's the problem, right? It's the same thing with, like, on YouTube, when you have people like Jimmy Fallon and these people who are already, like, really big and they're on the platform, because it's going to bring in more viewers and kind of legitimizes it in a way too. It makes it harder for people who are just starting out to really gain a following and stuff like that. And the same kind of thing has happened with OnlyFans, because this is what I slightly spoiled there. When OnlyFans has people like Riley Reid and Mick Blue and Violet Myers, Elsa Jean, all of these people, what are you, like, how are they going to compete? Jenna Fox, like, all these people, right? How are they going to compete? Adriana Chechik, this is probably when she was still, before she went to just Twitch. Again, I think she's just doing Twitch, I don't actually know. But, like, how are they gonna compete? I mean, like, look at this stuff. Like, here's this dude's name is Oliver Flynn. This is Nikki Benz. Yes, I'm a degenerate. I know a lot of these people. But, like, oh, that's Nicole Doshi. That one down there. But, like, when these people are here, oh, Leah Godi. Sorry, sorry. When all these people are here, like, how are new people supposed to start out? Now, like, I don't know this dude. I don't know her. At least I don't think I know her. If I saw her name, maybe I would, but I don't think I do. I think I recognize her, but I don't actually know. But, like, how are people who are just starting out supposed to get anywhere on the level when the stars are already here? And it's the same thing, again, when it comes to, like, with anything. Again, it's the same thing with, like, people just starting out on YouTube. It's tough to compete. So I don't blame people for wanting to take advantage of a less saturated market. However, yeah, a website that is targeted toward people under 18 is not the place to put out your content that is for people 18 plus, for very obvious reasons. So I just wanted to go through all of this, and basically at the end of the day, I agree with most of what she was saying here. I don't think that people are necessarily in the wrong for wanting to take advantage of the system. I think people always want to take advantage of systems. That's just how it is. You know, the expression rules were meant to be broken. I think that, of course, being against this idea of marketing, you know, sex workers marketing themselves in that way toward a younger audience is gross. And I think you can have that stance and that mentality without having the mentality of sex work in general is bad. And it is also true that, yeah, there's a level of, like, kind of over glamorization even in the process of, like, I'm all for normalizing it and everything, but it is a job. It's like anything else. And on that note, maybe even things like being being an actor or a musician or an artist that, like, draws stuff, or a writer or a YouTuber or whatever, maybe all that stuff should be kind of de-glamorized as well and be normalized as just like, yeah, these are all jobs people can do. You might have more fun in some of them, might have less, whatever it might be, but like it's still a job. It's for a lot of these people, it's better than alternatives they could be doing. So I mean, there's that aspect to it, but I do understand the critique of that being and kind of blurring the lines between an adult content platform and a platform that is for people under 18. That's a fair discussion to have, as we basically had throughout this video here. At the same time, though, I do think that a lot of this really does come down to a mentality of sex work is bad because sex is bad, and the difference between breaking your back doing construction work or getting your back blown out doing sex work is that one is sex and one is construction. One is seen as socially acceptable and one is not. I do think the normalization of sex work is important, also still seeing them as people. And I also think that this is not the way you normalize it. Like this whole, you don't normalize it by putting it on these kind of platforms. Again, if they want to do it, and I probably did get rid of the example for this. Yes, I did. But if you want to do the thing like I showed with with Emily Willis and stuff like that, you can do that. Or hell, even if like Adriana or Sasha were still making that kind of content and they were also streaming on Twitch and they had like a link, or they said, oh yeah, I do OnlyFans too, or yeah, I do mainstream porn too, or whatever, like I think that's fine. But I don't think, like swinging your tits just below the camera, while I don't think that's necessarily like, against the rules, so to speak, I don't think that it is necessarily something that should be promoted either, if it were, as it were. And I will agree as well to that whole thing again of like, oh, it's so easy to do sex work, it's so easy to do OnlyFans or whatever. Like, yeah, no, that's definitely not true. Any type of content creation takes hard work and everything. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about this literally the other day about like, oh, well, yeah, it's easy. Like, why don't, if you're so pro sex work and everything, why don't you do it? Because I think I don't think I would have a problem with like, dating or having a serious relationship with someone who does sex work. But I think if you're looking for a monogamous relationship, of course, being with someone who does sex work wouldn't really make sense, because they're probably going to be fucking other people. Now, of course, if they're doing sex work and they're just like, playing with themselves on camera or something or whatever, like that's a different story. If they're just doing solo stuff or whatever, that's a different story. But it all depends on you and your dynamic for your relationship, and that's something you and your partner have to figure out. It's a whole nother discussion though. But in regards to like, why don't you do it? Why don't men do it in general? Well, because there's a lot of reasons that go into it, but like, it really isn't as, especially as a man, it's not as easy to make that kind of content. And even for the women that are doing this, that are struggling. Now, I would say it might be easy enough for men to gain a gay following, but to gain a following of women doing sex work, that is more difficult. Again, I think a lot of this really does come down to women are, and a lot of that even comes down to like how women are kind of socialized to be not asexual, but to like be kind of more sex averse, and always have to have plausible deniability whenever they're interested in sex and all these different things. And again, there's a lot to go into with all these things. But overall, I don't think that believing people shouldn't do sex work adjacent stuff on platforms that are for people under 18, I don't think that is a sex negative or anti-sex worker take. I just think that there is a time and a place, and while I think it's perfectly fine to promote your content on a safer work platform, promote non-safer work content on a safer work platform, I don't think the lines should be blurred so much that you're doing borderline or actually not safer work content on a safer work platform. So, I think there should be a time and a place for everything, and I think that the normalization, we should absolutely normalize this stuff, but that is not the way that you do it. So, as always, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. Follow me on social media for more. Subscribe and ring the bell to stay up to date. Leave a like if you like. And if not, I hope you find something you do like. Later, guys. Peace and love.